G'day all, it's Colin from PCTLC and thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to run you through an install of KDE Neon on my Intel Nuc Skull Canyon, and just to have a look at the info. 32 gigs of RAM, Intel i7 6770HQ, pretty strong, and it's got the built-in graphics, so it's also got a 250 gig NVMe solid state drive, so that's the sneaky part of it all. So we're going to open gparted. I've installed gparted and OBS for this video. So that's my hard drive, and on here I've got a FAT32. Now I'm going to probably delete that. As you can see, it's got, if we look at the info on that, it's got the boot ESP, and I'm currently booting Ubuntu from this. However, I've had a look at the KDE Neon install, and I know for a fact that will not need this FAT32 partition, so I'm going to delete it. Apply that. Apply. Close. Now, this partition here is my data partition. As you can see, it's got all my data on it, so I dare not do anything to that. So on this 512 partition again, I'm just going to reformat that as FAT32 in case I need it again, so it's clean, because anything that's left on there will probably stop your new system from booting, so you don't want anything on there. So that's why I've cleaned that up. I've deleted it, reformatted it. It's ready for another hard. Some distros need that partition, some distros do not. So now what we'll do is run the installer. Download updates and stuff as we go. I'm already connected to the internet. So continue in UEFI mode. Okay. So I'm going to go for a manual install. Now what I'm going to do here is, let's just widen this out a bit. Now this device NVMe 0N1, that is the same as a grub partition or a partition on grub SDA. Now this one here that says the same NVMe 0N1, but it's got P1, so partition 1, partition 2, partition 3. So that's like SDA 1, SDA 2, SDA 3. This is SDA, which is the start of the hard drive. That's what that one is. So as long as the operating system can pick up that device there, which is where I want to install the bootloader, then you're good to go. So what I want to do now is change that one. Just cancel that, make sure I've got the right one. That's my 50 gig partition. This is my data, which is 200 and something. So I'll just make sure I've got the right one. Partition 2, ext4, format that, and it's root. And installing to the start of the drive. So we shall install now. Continue. Continue. Okay, Australia, Perth. English, US. Colin Neon. Continue. So I'll stop the video and shall restart once it's finished. Okay, so this is not good. I've got an executing grub install. Device NVMe 0N1 failed. This is a fatal error. Installer crashed. Okay, so maybe this is one of those instances where I'm probably wrong when it comes to the installer. I may need to be using the FAT32 anyway. So we'll try again and we'll see how we go. Sometimes there's a bit of trial and error involved in this. What works on one doesn't work on another. So actually I need to, I don't know if I can change this on here. Let's try FAT32. No, that's not going to work either. So I have to exit the installer and go back to gparted. Oh, what am I doing? Manage flags, boot, ESP, close. Okay. Start the installer again. This is a classic example of things don't always work the way you want it to. Also, very educational. So when things don't work, you just got to try something else. So it's EFI. So that now we should have the option of, just let me have a look at that. Partition 1, so we'll use that for the installer. Go to here, do that again, ext4, format that and it is root, that's okay. My data partition is untouched. Install now. I haven't selected any partition for use as swap. Well, I don't use swap on NVMe or SSD, so I'll just continue that. Yep, and the changes will be made to the disk. Yep. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop the video and I'll come back once it's installed. I've been through this on the previous one, so I won't bother putting you through it again. Okay, so we've finished installing, and it looks like the we did have to use the FAT32 boot partition after all. So I've experienced differences before. So like I said, every distro is different. So I will boot into my new KDE Neon and install OBS and start from there. Well, I'm back into my freshly installed KDE Neon, got OBS installed, and prior to that I've updated the system. So I'm not going to bore you guys with too many things that I'm doing with this, but just one thing I've been on the trail to do is create new folder, text file. I was trying to get the LibreOffice in here. LibreOffice 6 is available via PPA, so I might do that because the old version's still in the repos. So we'll go to this website here, shows you how to install PPA for 1604 long-term support and above. Fairly simple process, really. Haven't got my menu set up yet. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. Sudo apt update. So just looking at one problem I was having earlier in one of my other KDE desktops was creating a new document. I've got text file and all these other things here in a folder, but I don't have any LibreOffice. So what we need to do, we need to go to the Software Center Discover, and we need to search for LibreOffice-KDE. Install that. So now, once we go to our file manager and we right click, we now have our new documents. Can create that. New drawer. So I searched for hours for this and didn't realize, and I was trying to create templates and all sorts of things, and it's as simple as LibreOffice -KDE. One more thing I need is an email client, so I'll probably install Thunderbird. I was thinking about trying MailSpring. It's a little bit of a, it's not fully open source, I don't believe. So I haven't spelt that right, have I? That's why it's not finding it, I hope, because you would have to think it's in the repositories. There it is. I was having a little bit of problems with Thunderbird in Ubuntu for some reason. It's acting a little bit weird. I was trying to delete emails, but when one deleted and it moved up, it wasn't displaying the contents of that email. So I had to click away on another email, click back on that one. So normally it just goes up the list and you can keep deleting. But it wasn't doing that for some reason. I haven't encountered that before. I don't know if there's a update to Thunderbird that's not working correctly, but I'll see how it goes in KDE Neon. Okay, so I can confirm Thunderbird's working okay, but in all fairness to Ubuntu, I was using the nightly build, so that's probably why there was some things not quite working there, which is fair enough. It's a nightly build. It's not even an alpha, so things are going to go wrong. So add some images. Oh, show hidden files. There we go. I got some wallpaper from Charlie Henson. Use that one for now. So I will create a new panel. Add panel, default panel. So where's the spacer? Add spacer. That's it. And that should be flexible size, yep. Add spacer. Sometimes it's one side that does it, sometimes it's the other side that does it. That's roughly center, that'll do. I don't want this system tray here. System settings, workspace theme, desktop theme, breeze dark, don't want the pager and I don't want the task manager. So add a widget, icons only. Now I want to set up, let's see, is shortcuts. Present Windows or desktops. Make that Alt W. Desktop effects. We have Present Windows. And in there I want show panels. Apply. I forgot to apply that. So we'll check it's working now. There we go. And panels are showing, that's good. That's what we want. So we're looking at putting a transparent panel. So to put a transparent panel, workspace theme, desktop theme, get new themes. So we're looking for transparent. This one here is not too bad. And there's a K-Trans. I haven't tried that one, but I'll install that one. Right. So let's get out of there and go back into there. Transparent and apply. Alternatives. I like application dashboard. There we have the application dashboard, and now what we want to do is this one here, more settings, set to Windows can cover. So when you've got full screen, that disappears. So we got, if you're running Ubuntu and you set up Ubuntu and you put the dash to dock on the bottom, the standard one that comes with Ubuntu, then this is pretty much how it's set up, and that's how it's running. The only difference is this one is one click, you can see your time, but this is a shortcut key combination Alt-W, but then I can press my Windows key, press enter, and then I'm in the menu and I can search. So that's as close as you're going to get. So I'm pretty happy with that. What I need to do next is add my data partition to the FS tab. So I'll just increase the font there so we can see what's going on. Now we can't use root. We can't use root under graphical interface in Dolphin because you can't do that anymore. Now I need to add. Normally I mount it under media and data. That's where I normally mount mine. So I'm going to change directions, which means I want to actually open this folder here. So if I go back to root, when I open media like that and look inside there, that's the same as changing directions and / media, type part of it and then press the tab key. If it recognizes it, it'll fill it in. So now we are looking in the same folder as this one here. So if I halve these, let's go halve there. Just give me a minute. So, okay, gee, because I've got a second window open, but I'm using it for something else at the moment. It keeps jumping over there. So now we're looking in media here. We're looking in media there. If I type in here list ls, that'll show me what's in media, which is my folder Colin. So now I want to sudo, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Nobody ever told me, I just pronounced it as I seen it when I first started using Linux. Started using the command line, had no idea what I was doing to mess things up. So it's good that there's people around to be able to show you those things now. So sudo mkdir, which is make directory data. And once I put in my password, you should see a folder show up on the right hand side called data, and there you go. So that's how we create a folder in the root partition. So now I'll change directions. That should take me back to normal. Okay, so I'm in the root folder now. A home folder, sorry. So now what we want to do is I want to establish my partition. So I need to do, I think it's sudo blkid, bulk ID. So what we have here, one of these should be my data, and it's this one here. So there's the UUID of that data partition. So this is what I need. I need this number here. I need that number. I'm going to copy that. So what I need to do next is I need to sudo nano et tab fs tab, there we go, open that. Now this is nano. I hated nano. I never liked using nano, but now I like to use it because it's available in every distro. So it's always available by default. So if you need, instead of trying to figure out whether you got to type gedit or Kate or some other text editor's name, just nano. So what I need to do here is I need to add the UUID equals, paste that UUID, then we hit the tab key, then we need to put, and let me check my notes because I always got notes here. I cannot remember all this. So it's mount. So we've got to show it where it's got a mount. It's media. If I spell it right, media /data. Press the tab key again. It's an ext4 because that's how I formatted it. Then we go defaults. Then we press 0 for, that's the dump, I think. I'm not quite sure what that 0 does, but the second one is number 2. Now that's for the FSCK, I think it's called, File System Check, which is a bit like check disk in Windows. But you'll find here that this is the root system here. That needs to be number 1. That always needs to be checked first, and this one is number 2. So always it's a 0 in front anyway. So now I need to save that, which you hold the control button down, press O, the letter O, and then from there you got to press enter for it to make the change. So press enter, and it says down the bottom there, wrote 12 lines, so that's done. Now we can press Control X, and that exits. There we go. So now my my partition, my data partition should now be mounted. So what I want to do now is I want to create shortcuts to my data partition. So I've got my documents and downloads here. So what I need to do is go to home. I've got some things in here, so I won't do videos yet because they need to be moved, but I can do pictures. So what I can do is delete that, move it to trash that, create a basic link to file or directory, call it pictures, enter the path, or we'll just navigate to there. We go to data, pictures, open. Okay, there's your link. And now it's pointing to the data partition now. So we have, and then we can continue to delete all these documents, downloads, music, videos, and we can do the same thing. Just make sure there's nothing in there. Just make sure you've moved all the contents physically to the data. You can go here and paste it into these, cut and paste, copy and paste, whichever you feel comfortable with. Just get rid of the contents of that first, if you need it. And then for downloads, we can, there's nothing in there. So as you can see, so we shall move to trash that. That was download. So we create basic link, call it downloads, point to data. Okay, there's your basic link. And doing this, in doing this, when you'll notice that the font is a bit more slanted and italic, I think it's called. So now it's pointing to the downloads folder of my data partition. So the advantage of this is if something goes wrong with this operating system, normally in Linux, if you're using a long-term support, you should be okay. But if something disastrous goes wrong, you can reinstall, add your data to the FS tab, and then just establish those links again. Done. So you're up and running in no time and you haven't lost any data. As you can see, when I installed, I just totally avoided that data partition, and that's where all my stuff remains. So you really got to be careful when you're doing things like this, but as long as you're careful, it should be okay. So you can actually install any operating system you want, just re-establish the data links, and then those links become your normal folder. It's a link, but it's just like a normal folder. For those who are wondering how to remove links, so these links are connected to my data partition, as I showed you. So there's one link, there's another link. Now I looked around everywhere how to unlink it and get rid of it. So all it is if you look at the downloads, have a look at these files here, apps, easy to boot, ISO, blah blah blah. So right click and move to trash that. Now if I go to my data drive, downloads, everything's still there. So all it does is just moves, it just deletes the link. So I wasn't sure whether that was the right thing to do, but yeah, apparently it is. So that's all you have to do. So we'll just recreate that link. Path, data, downloads, open, and there we go. So the link's been re-established. And if you delete it, you can go to your trash and you can go to your downloads and just restore the original folder. But when it's named exactly the same as what it was, this one is unlike other operating systems. It actually shows it in italic. But the link is very well concealed, and it still honours the correct icon for the given folder. So I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative and learned something from it. I certainly did on this occasion, and thanks for watching.